I finished my knit purl and knit rows at the end of the hat, and now I'm going to put a longer cable on so I can figure out how to make the reinforced brim. This will let me spread the hat out. Alright, so I'm going to push the ends of the cable to make the hat flatten out. Looks a little bit more guitar pick shaped than I thought it was going to. As a comparison to the last time, that's a more reasonable amount bigger to be the difference in small and medium. I'm going to try this on my mannequin to be sure it doesn't look ridiculous. Alright, this doesn't look too terribly bad. I think that'll work when I put the cable in it. This is the ring I made when I made the hat before, and it came out like a duck, and I ripped it apart. Alright, the blue size small hat was a 30-inch circumference for the cable, and this looks like about 33.5. So that's enough more to be a medium. So that's only that much less than what I did before, which is rational because I have about the same amount of yarn left, which is not much at all. So I'm going to cut that off. This is how much yarn I have left. So I hope I have enough to finish this. So I'm going to put the straw over the ends of the cable, and when I knit this in there, it won't be able to come apart, so I think it'll stay. Alright, the blue size small hat was a 30-inch circumference for the cable, and this looks like about 33.5. So that's enough more to be a medium. So that's only that much less than what I did before, which is rational because I have about the same amount of yarn left, which is not much at all. So I'm going to cut that off. This is how much yarn I have left. So I hope I have enough to finish this. So I'm going to put the straw over the ends of the cable, and when I knit this in there, it won't be able to come apart, so I think it'll stay. I changed my mind already. I don't like the Capri Sun straw is too loose, and I'm afraid it won't stay on the thing. So I'm going to try a slightly smaller straw. I'm going to use the length of this black coffee stirrer, and then I'm going to use this red heat shrink to cover up the color change, and I'm going to go and try to shrink this with boiling water. I've always wanted to try this because the temperature that this shrinks is 100 degrees C. So I'm going to test this with boiling water and come back and tell you if it worked. Alright, the first attempt didn't work because I didn't put the straw far enough into the tubing. It came out off center, and as soon as I hit it with the hot water, it flexed right there. Alright, this time I used a number 3 knitting needle to push the interior, the black part, straight to the middle. And I can tell where it is by bending the outer tubing. So now that's centered. I'll try shrinking it again. Alright, the conclusion of my experiment is that hot water does not work to heat shrink adequately, but the tried and true trick of a lighter still works. So I was able to get it to stick and hold the ends using flame to shrink my heat shrink, but you have to be really careful because it heats up the nylon and it makes it want to bend. So, but I managed to do it and have it still come out round. So now it's time to put it in the hat. Here's the blue hat as an example. Here's the top, and underneath is the 3 needle bind off. I'm going to use some of these antique knitting needles to pick up this join. Look at these things. My dad gave them to me. They come in a set of 4, which is odd, and they're 85 cents. So I'm going to use just one of these, and I want to pick up stitches. So here's my 2 rows of knitting on this side, and here's 2 rows of knitting on this side, and I want to pick up the next row, and I want to pick up the one that's coming towards what I'm doing. So from the other side, it's going to pull the stitch towards the brim of the hat. So two rows. This is these 2 bumps, two sets of bumps, a top and a bottom bump. That's one knit row, and here's the other one, the second knit row, and so the third one is what I'm going to pick up. And you kind of see how you have to go over a column, because this is the one in the same column, but I don't want that one. I want the one going in this direction. So just go ahead one and pick that up, and then pick up the next one, and so on in that same row all the way around. But you can only do a few at a time, so just go as far as you can before it starts to bend your needle, and then knit those, and then do some more. And hopefully I won't run into any short row confusion, because I knit enough rows after I finish the short rows. So that's enough of those. And now I want to be sure to put my new construction project in here. That's going to get pinched inside like that. I want to line it up. This is the center back, so I want to line up my little join into the center back. I'm going to use this size 8 needle, same as we've been using, to knit the front and the back together like so. So that's the knitting around these 2 stitches. Let me do one more. So you get the leg of the front stitch under the needle and the leg of the back stitch under your needle, and then you knit them together and slide them off the needles. So now I have 2 stitches on this needle that I'm working on, and I want to bind off one. I want to pass the first stitch over the second stitch. There's a lot going on, but if you focus and struggle, you can do it. I want to knit the proper leg of these stitches. The front stitch, the leg pointing to the right, is on the front of the needle, and the way I picked up these back stitches, that's also the right leg is in the front. So that's how I know which leg of the stitch I want to go through. See if I can do this and stay on camera the whole time. Alright, now I see that my join has slipped out, but it doesn't matter, I can always center this up later. As I was picking up stitches, I noticed that now I actually do have to pick up something that had to do with the short rows. This stitch has 2 wraps. There's 2 yarn thicknesses for that stitch, but there's the right number, so I just picked that up, and then the next one. While I was picking up more stitches, I moved my my running stitch to the cable needle just temporarily, and now I can put it back on my extra needle. And I tried picking up the stitches the other direction just for variety. So now I'm going to knit the front leg of this stitch and the back leg of that stitch. I wanted to see if that would be any easier. I think I like that better. The front of the front stitch and the back of the back stitch. So experiment and do what feels easiest to you, because you have to do this all the way around this whole hat. Yes, that's definitely easier. I'm about 2/3 of the way around with my bind off, and I have this much yarn left. Fortunately, I have another ball of the same dye lot of yarn, so I can join in some more. I will modify this pattern to take out a few rows up in this area so that this condition won't happen in the final pattern. But just in case, have an extra ball of yarn around. So how will I join this yarn? I want the knot. I'm going to have to knot it because it's cotton. But I want it to come out inside of this tube. So what I'll do is I will knit the next stitch with my new yarn. Alright, so here's the last stitch on the extra needle. Here's the tail. I'll hold that in this hand. And now I want to knit these 2 stitches with the new yarn. And while I have both of these on this needle, I'm going to tie the tails together. Okay, so both tails are coming out in between the stitches on the needle, and I'm going to tie those in a knot. I'm going to do a triple knot. Pull this side to make sure it's all even. On. Alright, so now I've pulled my yarn tails into the inside of the tube, and I'll just hold those alongside this cable until I get to about here, and then I'll cut those off. And that should be a good join, and now I can keep going with my new yarn. I finished. I got this. I wanted to compare the size medium hat to the size small hat, and it's an even amount bigger. That's kind of what I was hoping for. It's a little bit bigger around, but the brim is the same shape, and I think that's important. The last step is to tie off the tail of the yarn. I'm going to thread it on a needle and sew the 2 sides together of the bind off. Alright, to finish this off, I've got one more stitch that I didn't get picked up. I don't know if I miscounted or something, but I'm going to go through that loop, and then I'm going to go over to the other side and go through both of those and back up this stitch, and I'm going to pull that tight, and that closes up that gap. And now I'm just going to sort of work all these stitches with my needle and weave that tail in a little bit and tie it off. Try to make it so I can't see all this red stuff. This slight ruffly appearance to the top of the hat disappears when you put it on, and I think wet blocking pulled over bowl or something would help even more to make it keep the shape you want.